Hey, I'm Srini, the creator of Maximize Your Output with Mem. Have you ever wished that your notes were more than just static text? Well, in today's video, what I'm going to show you how to do is turn your notes into interactive, dynamic knowledge assets that keep increasing in value and show you how Mem becomes more and more powerful as you add more and more information to it. Now, let's get to the tutorial. So what I want to go over in this video is something that I call the knowledge generation cycle, which is basically related to the idea that the more information that you capture in Mem, the more powerful its features become. And I've broken this down into 3 stages based on my own usage of Mem and my ability to do more and more with it. And I've noticed that right around 50 plus Mems was when I started to see the power of Mem and really understand how you could link and connect ideas together because of the fact that it's a network-based tool. So one way to think about this idea is in terms of network effects. So if you look at a tool like Facebook, for example, Facebook isn't particularly interesting unless your friends are on Facebook. And so there's a critical mass of people that have to be on Facebook in order for it to become useful because it's about connecting with other people. And in this case, we're doing the same thing with our notes. And so you need a critical mass of knowledge before you start to really see the capabilities of Mem come to life. And that's really important. And by critical mass of Mems, I don't just mean a bunch of random information. Ideally, what you want are 50 smart notes or 50 ideas that have some content in them with a good title, because you want to make sure that they are things that you can connect together. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through the capabilities of both MemChat and SmartWrite Edit and how they change as you start to add more and more knowledge. So at critical mass, the functions are fairly basic. So you see here that I have a note titled Dial Down the Scope of Delaying a Project. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the title of this note, and we're going to go over to MemChat. And what I'm going to say is, what's the main point of this note? And these are the very basic things that MemChat can do when you only have a critical mass of knowledge. So you can see here that we've gotten a decent note. It actually tells us what it's referencing, but it actually takes this and expands on it and gives me a pretty decent explanation of what this note is about. Now, we could take the note that MemChat gave us, or what we could do is we could ask SmartWrite to draft a simple note that distills the key points. What I might go in here and do is then say, okay, you know what? Distill the key points to this note. And basically what we're doing is we're just using the most basic functions. And again, you have to remember that both SmartWrite and MemChat are drawing from whatever is inside of your knowledge base. Now, if you look at this, what you'll see here is it referenced a bunch of different books, it referenced a bunch of different notes, and it even listed a bunch of bidirectional links. Why did it do that in my Mem database, and why would this look different in somebody else's? That's because I have over 5,000 or so Mems, which allow it to have much more information that it can reference. So that's the value of increasing the amount of information that you capture inside of Mem. So now we've looked at critical mass. Let's go into the next piece, which is sufficient mass. So you might be thinking, okay, how in the hell am I going to get to 500 Mems? But one of the things I want you to think about is the video that we did on the value of empty Mems, where you can capture empty Mems with just a title and nothing more. In fact, I have a number of empty Mems that are linked to hundreds of other notes inside of my knowledge base, even though there's nothing in them, because of the fact that they are titled in such a way that they make it easy to embed those notes into links in other notes and sentences. So let's actually take this, and what I'm going to do is I have a collection titled Second Brain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up that Second Brain collection here, and I'm going to just type in here, what are the common themes in this collection? And I'm going to ask MemChat what those themes are. So let's go back to MemChat here, and we're just going to ask it, what are the common themes in the Second Brain collection? And what it will do is it will give us a pretty decent write-up here on everything that's going on. So you can see here, it's actually pulling different notes. It's going to tell us what it's referenced to do this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these different notes, and then we're going to use SmartWrite and Edit to turn them into something else. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy what we've got here for now. And let's go back to our outline for this video. And What we're going to then do is have SmartWrite create a more complex note with a synthesis of the key concepts using that synthesized information that we got from the second brain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this here, and I'm just going to literally take this here, and I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to make whatever we just said as my command, and let's see what it comes up with. So chances are that what it will do is it will expand in quite a bit more detail. Okay, so you can see here that wasn't a very good collection, or that wasn't a very good command because it didn't really mean much. So we're going to go ahead and put that command back there. And I'm leaving this actual error in here on purpose because I think it speaks to the importance of typing clear commands. And one of the other reasons I want to do this video is that I've had people come to me, and I've had friends who say, this all sounds amazing, but when I use Mem, it doesn't work the way it works when you show it to me. And a lot of it has to do with the amount of knowledge that you have in Mem. What we're going to do here is I'm just going to take this, we're going to create a new note, and I'm going to go ahead and say, turn this into an outline for a blog about building a second brain in Mem. And so now you can see it's giving us a relatively basic outline, but we're going to go one step further. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it make each one of these a header and then put bullets underneath for the topics. So I'm going to say make each bullet a header and add bullets under for topics to cover. And now you can see it's giving us a different way to structure this blog post. And the thing is, why is it able to come up with an outline so quickly and so much detail? That's because of the fact that I have all this information in Mem. So this is one of those things that you've probably noticed it's a bug in terms of formatting. But you saw how quickly it took all of that information because of the fact that I had probably close to 150 notes on the concept of building a second brain. That's what starts to happen when you get to a sufficient mass. And one really good way to think about all of this is as if you're building a skyscraper, and critical mass is like the foundation. It's like those first bricks. Once you get to sufficient mass, it's like you've built a skyscraper that is a few stories high. But when you get to abundance, you've effectively built the skyscraper. And that's when you start to have real power. So what we're going to do is I'm going to basically go in and find some unexpected connections between nodes. And what I'm just going to do is put this second brain collection back here. And let's see what MemChat comes up with for us. You can see here that it's actually making connections between different notes inside of the database because I have so many different ones. But if we want to make this even crazier, what we could do is say something like, I want to write a blog post about this. And use the notes from Inside Steve's Brain, which is a book about Steve Jobs, to come up with 10 titles using his philosophy. And as you're seeing, you're basically able to start accessing some of the greatest minds that are available to you. So just by having the notes from this book about Steve Jobs, I can actually start to think about how Steve Jobs would title something as simple as a blog post. And you can see here that it comes up with some that are decent, some that are not great. So now we've got a little bit further in terms of what you can do with MemChat when you have a abundance of knowledge. But let's take this one step further. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new mem, and I'm going to take the information that it gave me using the common themes from Second Brain, as well as the unexpected connections. And I'm going to use SmartWrite and have it turn all of this into an outline for a new ultimate guide to building a second brain. So we've got that part, which are the Second Brain themes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull these unexpected connections as well and go back to this note. And what I'm going to do is I am going to tell Mem Smart and Write and Edit to generate an outline for a comprehensive guide to building a second brain in Mem, broken up with headers and bullets under each for topics to cover. One thing that you should note here as you're watching me do this is how specific all of the commands are, because the more specific and concrete you are with your commands, the better it's going to work. All AI depends on human input, and as I've told one of my friends who always complains to me about Mem not working the way he wants it to, if you sound like an idiot when you communicate with Mem Chat, you're going to get really bad responses from it because it doesn't understand what you're talking about. Now, in just a matter of a few minutes, we've got a pretty in-depth, detailed outline of how I could do a revised version of the ultimate guide to building a second brain in Mem. And all of this is using different notes within the database. And I probably have a couple hundred notes on just the concept of the second brain and how different it is inside of. So let's just recap everything that we've talked about. The first key to getting the most out of Mem is to hit a critical mass of knowledge, and that means 50 plus MEMs. And I'm talking 50 smart notes or 50 ideas that are somewhat flushed out that you can actually do something with, not just 50 notes that have your social security number or whatever personal information you might be storing in Mem. Then you get to sufficient mass, which is 500 plus MEMs. And of course, this will involve ideas that you've created, projects that you've worked on, notes that you've taken, notes from different pieces of content that you consume, whether it's books, podcasts, whatever. And that's when you start to really see a big tipping point when it comes to your abilities to leverage the capabilities of both MemChat and Smart Write and Edit. Then you get to an abundance, which is 5,000 plus MEMs. And once you get to 5,000 plus MEMs, you are going to be able to find unexpected connections between your ideas. You're going to be able to come up with new ideas faster than ever. And the ultimate power of having such an abundance of information in Mem is that it truly gives you the ability to create at the speed of thought. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And I will also include a link to a table that you can download that actually explains all of these as it relates to the amount of information that you have inside of Mem.